Chapter 11, The Kingdom Divided at Dawn. Dawn came to Eldoria under low cloud and ringing bells. Not warning bells. Assembly bells. By royal order, Lord Garrick would stand tribunal at first light in the East Square. By rumor, the sentence had already been written. By fear, no one believed the hearing would end clean. Crowds gathered anyway. Farmers with mud still on their boots. Guild workers with hammers tucked into belts. Palace clerks with ink-stained hands. Former soldiers standing in plain cloaks, neither crown nor rebel colors on their shoulders. On rooftops above the square, Bram and Mara watched patrol routes shift by the minute. "Too many crossbows for a hearing," Mara muttered. "Too many nervous nobles for a hanging," Bram replied. Below, Rowan waited beneath a rain-dark arch beside Tomas and 6 Ashwood riders, hands open and visible, swords peace-tied by agreement with Chancellor Vane. He hated every inch of it. "This feels wrong," Tomas said. "It is wrong," Rowan answered. "But if Elric keeps his word, Garrick falls without another street war. And if he does not?" Rowan looked toward the scaffold converted into a tribunal dais. "Then we survive what comes next." At the top of the palace steps, Elira stood in a dark riding coat with no crown and no jewels, only her signet and a sword at her side. When she found Rowan in the crowd, she gave one small nod. "Here. Alive. Still choosing the same fight." King Elric entered last beneath a stripped canopy, flanked by palace guard and Chancellor Vane carrying the ledgers from the previous dawn. Then came Garrick in chains. He walked as if the irons were ornaments. Not broken. Waiting. The tribunal began with witness rolls and charges read to the square. Unauthorized burn orders. Treasury diversion. False levy decrees. Execution abuse under crown seal. Each charge drew murmurs, then shouts. When Vane opened the lockbox and displayed the wolf-sealed dispatches, Garrick finally looked at Elric and smiled. "You still think this is about ledgers," he said. Elric's voice was stone. "It is about law." "No," Garrick said. "It is about who commands fear." Before anyone could answer, a horn blared from inside the western gate. Then another. Then 5 in rapid sequence. Bram went rigid on the roofline. "Signal stack," he hissed. "That is not crown standard." Mara swore. Garrick loyalists. Black banner riders slammed through side streets and struck the square perimeter in 2 wedges. At the same moment, hidden crossbow teams rose from Guildhall windows and fired into both tribunal guards and civilians. Chaos detonated. People screamed and scattered. Palace lines buckled. Garrick moved. A concealed lockpick slipped from his sleeve into his cuff. One twist, one snap, and his wrist iron dropped free. He seized the nearest guard's spear, smashed the haft into Vane's chest, and kicked the lockbox off the dais. "Kill the witnesses," he roared. "Take the princess alive." Rowan was already running. Mara, roofs. Bram, clear civilians south. Tomas, with me. Elira drew steel and met the first attacker at the stair line, parrying hard enough to throw him down 2 steps. Elric's palace guard closed around the king, but half the line broke when Black Banner captains shouted old unit commands. Not a riot. A coup. Rowan hit the dais through smoke and bodies, reaching Elira as 2 hunters drove in from her blind side. He caught one blade, Tomas took the second with an axe haft, and together they forced a gap toward the center platform. "You all right?" Rowan shouted. "Busy," Elira said through her teeth. A laugh almost broke from him in spite of blood and noise. Then Garrick appeared across the smashed tribunal table, sword in hand, chain link still hanging from one wrist. "Ashford," he said, smiling like a wound. "Twice spared, twice foolish. 3rd time ends it," Rowan answered. The crowd fell back as steel met steel. This time there was no theater. No circle. No formal duel. Only killing distance in rain and smoke while a city tore itself apart. Garrick fought like a siege ram, brutal, relentless, driving Rowan backward over broken boards. Rowan gave ground, then angle, then struck low at the knee joint where Garrick's plate had been cracked in the scaffold fight. Garrick staggered. Recovered. Came harder. A heavy backswing split Rowan's shoulder guard and sent him to one knee. Elira shouted his name and tried to break toward him, but 3 Black Banner soldiers cut her off. Tomas intercepted, roaring, and the stair became a wall of hammer strikes and shattered shields. Bram's smoke jars burst along the west flank. Mara's arrows dropped 2 rooftop crossbowmen and a third as he tried to light a pitch cart. Still Garrick kept pressing. Look at them, he snarled at Rowan between blows. They need fear. You offer them speeches. Rowan spat blood, rose, and shifted stance. No, he said. I offer them each other. He changed rhythm. Feint high. Cut wrist. Step inside. Elbow strike. Garrick's sword arm faltered for half a heartbeat. Enough. Rowan drove his blade into the seam beneath Garrick's breastplate, just left of center. Not deep enough to kill at once. Deep enough to finish the fight. Garrick froze, breath catching. Rain ran down his face and mixed with red. You think this ends me? He rasped. No, Rowan said quietly. People end men like you the moment they stop kneeling. Garrick dropped to one knee, then to stone. Around them, Black Banner fighters saw him fall and began to break. Some ran. Some threw down weapons. Some fought until palace guards and rebel lines, suddenly on the same side of survival, pushed them into the mud. By full morning, the square was a field of shattered carts, dropped pikes, and torn banners. The coup had failed. Barely. Chancellor Vane lived, though coughing blood. Mara had a cut across her brow. Bram's left arm hung from a crude sling. Tomas bled from a gash at the ribs and grinned anyway. King Alric stood on the tribunal steps in torn cloak and rain-dark armor, staring at Garrick's body beneath a canvas. When he spoke, the whole square listened. Lord Garrick is dead by his own treason, Alric said. His command is dissolved. All Black Banner writs are void. Murmurs spread. Not trust. Not yet. But listening. Alric looked at Rowan, then Elira, then the people packed shoulder to shoulder in wet streets. Today showed what this kingdom has become, he said. Divided, armed, and one breath from ruin. He drew a slow breath. I cannot undo the dead. I can choose what follows them. Elira stepped forward before court protocol could silence her. Then choose plainly, she said. Bread relief. Burn order amnesty review. Village councils at levy tables. A dangerous hush. Alric held her gaze for a long time. Then nodded once. Draft it, he said to Vane. By sunset. He turned to Rowan. You will not be caged today, the king said. But do not mistake this for peace. Rowan wiped rain from his eyes. I never do. Later, near noon, Rowan and Elira met behind the ruined fountain while medics moved through the square. For once there were no speeches. No maps. No witnesses close enough to hear. Elira reached for his torn shoulder guard and checked the wound beneath. You need stitches, she said. I was hoping for praise first. She laughed once, shaky with exhaustion, then kissed him, quick, fierce, grateful. There. Praise. He rested his forehead against hers for one breath. Stay in the palace until Vane signs those decrees, he said. If you leave too soon, the court claws them apart. And you? Ashwood, he said. I keep the camps fed and the roads watched. She nodded, hating it and agreeing anyway. 3 nights. 3 nights, he said. By evening, Eldoria's bells rang not for execution and not for victory, but for emergency assembly across every district. The kingdom had not united. It had not forgiven. But it had survived the day it should have broken. And as smoke cleared above the square, people began saying a new phrase in market lines, chapel steps, and farm roads. No more hidden crowns. No more silent hunger. No more fear as law.